While we're waiting on some people to hop on, I'm going to go ahead and start trimming up the grapevine. This is an 18-inch grapevine wreath. I think I picked this one up at Michael's, but you can get them pretty much anywhere. Now, to give a grapevine a haircut, I just go in and clean up all the little crazy pieces and loose pieces. A lot of times when you buy a grapevine, you've got some broken pieces, and sometimes I cut them out. If they're like this, where there's just the loose end, I'll take and break it off, or I'll wind it back into the grapevine, especially if it's on this left side, because I'll be covering that with florals, so you won't see anything. All right. I like to leave my grapevines just a little crazy. I don't like them too manicured, but I do go in and take out all the dead leaves, broken pieces, and some of the little wispies if it's, a little too much. But I like the character that they add, especially when I'm doing a farmhouse design. This one wasn't too bad, actually. It didn't need much of a haircut. I don't like the way these loose ends are down here at the bottom, so I'm going to pull off the loose pieces and weave some of this back up in there if it needs to be. I don't want those loose ends showing there on the bottom. There's one bigger piece I'm going to weave in. There we go. When you hop on, say hi, let me know you're here. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Melissa Castellanos, and I own Halo Creative Designs. I've been designing for about 3 years. I took a little time off for some health reasons, but I'm getting back into the game now. I do specialize in grapevine wreaths, working with artificial greenery and florals, but I do work with deco mesh and other mediums as well. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is we need to prep the sign. Now, this is a rather large sign. I pushed that too far away, didn't I? This is a rather large sign, and it's going to go to the side here. So, as I always do with signs, I see where they're going to meet the grapevine, and that's where I'm going to attach my anchor point. This time I'm going to be using cable mounts. Hi, Carla. I'm doing well. How are you today? So I get a good eye where I need to put my anchor point. So probably right here behind the C. And because these are raised letters, you may have to adjust a little bit where you're putting things. But I push it on really well. We'll get the second one attached. And I'm going to show you how I apply E6000 so that I never have any issues with things popping off. All right, so it looks like probably down here as well. So I'm applying a good amount of pressure just to get a good seal. Now, since I work with florals a lot, I always cut the pieces off the end. These are great for stirring your glue pot, for adding length to a pick that maybe has a short stem. You can also bend them into a U shape and use them as floral pins. Sometimes I use them as E6000 applicators. So let me get this open. what I do is I squeeze a good bubble out and I get it on the tip of my little end here. And then I run it around the edge, kind of pushing it up under those gaps around the edge. This helps form a seal and a bond. If you prefer using, say DAP, Rapid Fuse, that works as well. This is just how I apply E6000. And I typically use E6000. I do have DAP and will occasionally use it, but my go-to is E6000. Excuse me. I've got the fan on. Or something tickling my throat. I mean, I could just, squeeze it on there, but I use a little more product doing it that way, and it's a little more messy, at least by doing it in little bubbled sections like this. I control where it goes. All right. Hi, Linda. Glad you're able to sneak a peek. As always, the replay will be available after the live is finished. I'm kind of excited. Last week I was pretty nervous getting back into the swing of things. I used to do lives a lot and then had some health issues, so I quit being able to do them for a while. So I guess it was kind of like riding a bike. I was nervous last week. I'm still a little nervous, but not quite as bad. So maybe by next week I will have conquered my stage fright again and we'll be good to go. How's everybody's week been? The design that we're going to work on today is another design that you can use to stock your shop quickly. I know we're all kind of in the same boat right now, trying to get as much in our shops as possible in the least amount of time. So I'm trying to think of designs that are beautiful and on trend, but also you can do quickly and mass produce, because that's the key to Etsy, isn't it? Making multiples. All right. Now the reason I do my sign first when I'm using the E6000 as adhesive is because I want to give it time to set. It takes a full 24 hours to cure, but you can use it in 5 or 10 minutes. You just got to give it a little time to solidify a little bit. Now, most of the supplies that I'm going to be using today came from a local store here. It's a consignment store. It's called Traveling Pants. And the lady who owns it is a friend of my family's. And she just got a big Craig Bachman order in. So these supplies, even though I got them at a local store that doesn't have a website, you should be able to find them on any of the other, retail sites that stock Craig Bachman products. So, let's see. I'm going to set this to the side and just give her some dry time. Now, I said this was going to be easy and quick. So we all can find, well, last week we worked with big, huge picks. This week we're going to work with small picks. If you are lucky enough to find a good small pick that is dense, that has 3 different types of green in it, because typically when you're styling with artificial greenery, you want to use 3 types of greens, different kinds. And this pick has 3. Even though these 2 look similar, they are different. And then you have these 2 different kinds of ferns. So you already have your 3 types of greens in this one pick. And you also have the rest of the embellishments that you typically would add separately. You know, the red berries, the pine cones, the cotton. A lot of times you buy those pieces individually and then you assemble all the individual pieces. And that's okay. I do design a lot that way, and I will teach that. But that allows you more control. This gives you the look, but it allows you to do it in half the time. So like I said, if you're lucky enough to find these that are dense, then you can use these whole picks. Be wary though, because a lot of places have picks like this, but they only have half the stuff. So for this design to work, they have to be full and have several different components to it, okay? Now for this one, we're gonna use probably 5. And the way that I place them, since our sign is long and it's gonna go on this right side, this is what you have, the real estate you have to work with, okay? Now this sign is a little longer than what you would typically use, meaning it sticks out above and below your grapevine wreath a little bit. So we're going to try to keep that line. I know last week I mentioned the line and told you I would give you a little more information about that this week. So when you're, how do I want to word this? So basically, because this sticks out top and bottom, when you place in your picks, you want to keep that same line around the wreath. Okay, it's how you keep the round shape, and you do it by the placement of your picks. Okay, now before you start placing, you have to decide where you're going to put your bow. I always put my bow here at about the, I guess what's that, 11 o'clock, about the 11 o'clock position. So you're going to put one piece to the right of that 11 o'clock position. You're going to lay it flat with your grapevine and just weave it in. Okay. Right like that. And now you'll notice that my grapevine has kind of got like a little lump here. It's a little misshapen. That's why I chose to put it on this side, so I can cover that with the florals and you won't know it's there. The good side of the grapevine is what will show on this side. You've been sick, Miss Linda? I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're on the mend. All right, now these picks, when you get them, they're kind of flat and really compressed. So I spend a moment to pull all the pieces apart, kind of shape it. Okay. Now, depending on where you're going to put this pick in your wreath, is kind of how you want to shape the pieces. So since our bow is going to go here, and I always save about a fist's width for my bow area when I'm designing. So my bow is going to go here. You'll want the next pick to come out this side. Now I do it kind of on the top of the grapevine here, not kind of in the middle. And again, you lay it flat and weave it in. We're going to go back and zip tie these in a minute. The little paper, you see it came undone, and so the pieces stuck out and it got hung in there. So I'm going to have to take a piece of floral tape and retape these. I keep all different colors of floral tape, a couple of different greens, a silver, a brown, a black, a white, because you never know when you have to tape up a stem. And when you're applying tape, you have to put a little bit of tension in it, because that's what activates the sticky glue part of it. If you just, lightly wrap it, it's not going to activate the sticky and it won't adhere to itself. So when you're twisting, you have to put a little bit of tension on it and a little bit of stretch, I guess, to activate that glue. All right, so we're going to come to this side. Like I said, lay it flat. And weave it in. Ah! You can shape it a little bit. We like the placement of those two. Then we'll go ahead and zip tie them in. You can totally glue them if you want. There is no right or wrong in this case. I tend to zip tie if I'm doing these bigger pieces. If I'm doing individual pieces, like if I broke this down, I would probably glue. But for this, we're just gonna zip tie. Lori told me last week y'all like zip ties, or was it Lori or was it Casey? One of you lovely ladies told me last week that y'all like zip ties here, so we're using zip ties. Let me take it down for a second so I can see these top ones. I know I said we'd have a better camera angle this week, but I don't have the backdrop in yet. So another week of plain old Jane white. Actually, I mean, I looked on camera. It didn't look that bad. I actually think you can see what I'm doing fairly well on the white background. Damn, doesn't want to cut. Holy cow. For those of you that don't know, I have rheumatoid arthritis, so sometimes cutting things is a chore for me. All right. So now the third one is going to go in just below that one. Uh-oh. All right, if you pull a piece off, don't sweat it. Just dip the end ever so lightly in your glue or put a little dab of glue on it and glue it back on. It will not hurt a thing. All right. So again, since we're putting it on this side and the curve is this way, I kind of bend the stem a little bit, and that's how I shape my pig. So we'll lift that little piece just because it's in our way, and then we'll come in and slide that one in just like that. Now, this one I did on the top, this one I did on the front. So top, front. The last one I put in on this side will go to the side, okay? It's kind of like stair step. All right, here's another. Oh, I just noticed there's some of these berries that have little missing pieces or little scuff marks where you see white in the styrofoam berry. You can take a red Sharpie, red marker, little dab of red acrylic paint and touch up those spots. You'll never know they were there. So don't sweat it. Don't cut those pieces out. If, they're kind of nasty looking, you can fix them. All right, the same thing. Putting it here to this curve, I'm going to give it a little curve, just like that. Now I kind of take some of the green pieces and fan them out to the side because like I said earlier, we're keeping a line. We want to create that line, okay? So we do that when we're shaping these little pieces. And when we have them all on, we're probably going to have to go back and move the cotton around just because it's white and that's a color that your eye is going to follow. And we want to make sure that it's evenly dispersed. But for now, we're just going to get them on the wreath. All right, so again, that one went on the middle. So the next one goes to the outside. Lay it flat and insert it. All right, this one we're probably going to have to go ahead and zip tie in right now because it's not going to stay in if I don't. So let's back up one step. Get this one in front of it tied in. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Casey. I appreciate the sprinkle, but yeah, this is the private group, so. Gotta take it off to cut. When I cut the zip ties, let me get it off. When I cut the zip ties, I then turn it to the inside so there's no pokey edges. All right. Now we can put this one in and zip tie it in. All right. See how we look. All right, so now that we've got the 3 pieces in on this side, you can go in and just play with how everything's laying. But keep in mind the shape. So see what we've got here is still kind of the pieces that are extending out from the wreath are all generally the same length. You can have a few that stick out longer. That is totally acceptable, and I like that look. But if you aren't happy with the shape, just go in and bend that piece until it's laying like you want it. Every little part of these are wired, and most picks are. All right. So we've got all the pieces in on that side. We've got one more that we're going to stick straight down the top. Again, you just want to wind it in. Now this creates the height of your piece. So be mindful. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut that stem down of how high you're placing that in the wreath. It also serves as a very nice backdrop for your bow. Holds your bow nice and face front. These little, all the little stems on the bottom are separating, so I'm going to have to tape it down too. Joanne, I hope that I am able to show you a technique one of these days that resonates with you, that doesn't intimidate you. Because I was in your shoes once upon a time. That's why I did deco mesh for so long, is because doing grapevines really intimidated me. I didn't even know where to begin. But one day I just kind of started playing. I put a grapevine on my table and just started putting things in. And you know what you like, and you know what's pleasing to your eye. So if you're patient enough to just sit there, move things around, eventually you're going to find a place where everybody looks good and you're happy with it. But there are things that I do that I repeat every time and just use different greenery, flowers, ribbons, and what have you. All right. So there we go. That creates the height. We kind of have to bend things back because we have to give a little pocket here for our bow to sit. All right. Make sure our center point stays up there. Okay. That one I might glue in since it's on the top. But no, not going to go against my word. We're going to zip tie. Just get this one on real quick. And then we'll do the bow. So because this wreath is done with all picks pre-assembled, and it's just a recipe, you put X amount of picks in all the X, marked spots, and that's how I like to teach you guys wreaths. So you can apply it every time. Just put your pieces on the X's in your mind. Uh-oh. There we go. Now, because I added that piece up there, it now brought our line. See the nice line we have here? Some pieces are taller, some pieces are shorter. That's okay. But if you're standing back looking from afar, you have a perfect shape of a wreath. It's not wonky. And I kind of have to clean as I go. I'm a little OCD like that, so I apologize, y'all. I can't work on a dirty table. Okay. Let's see how our sign's percolating here. Looking good. Still a little tacky. We'll wait and do our bow. Sign will be good after that. You can see kind of how things are coming together. The sign will, whoops, it won't stay right there. Sign will go here. We're going to have the farmhouse bow here. And I had an extra pick in case we needed to fill in anywhere, but I think we're looking good. So 5 picks on this will do. Usually picks run about what? Like this, $4. So for $20, you have all of your greenery, all your baubles, and really it's, I think in my opinion, it's cost effective. Because if I had to buy individual bundles of berries, pine cones, cotton, the 3 different types of greeneries, that adds up. So in my opinion, it's really cheaper to buy these type picks. All right. I had a hard time deciding which one of these I wanted to use, but I think I'm going to keep it with just the red. But the black would look okay too. So if you've got black, totally use it, but I'm going to go for the red. like that sign. I did too. I fell in love with it. I don't know if you can see, it's, you know, distressed and the letters are raised. It's a gorgeous sign. When I saw it, I immediately knew I wanted to put it on a wreath. What was I saying? Oh, the bow. Oh, I wanted to tell you how long the sign was. Sorry. That's my old brain. It is 19.5 inches long. And I didn't measure the width. 4.5 inches wide. So 19.5 by 4.5. Now this bow is a simple bow. Let's get my trusty Bodabra out. I always unroll quite a bit of ribbon when I'm making a bow. All right. Hi, Bubba. My little guy is homesick today, so he might hop in. Right, make sure you've got your center. That's really bugging me. I'm going to go ahead and put a hanger on so I fix that issue. What's up, dear? What's up? Okay. All right, to put on a hanger, I use fabric covered wire that you can get at Walmart. Show you. Well, I threw away the rest of the package, but you can see it. It's just floral covered wire. I bend it in half. I'm going to run it down between some branches once I find my center. Sometimes I have to use my needle nose to get in there and pull it out. And that's okay. So I run it down. And I give a good 4 fingers width. And then I just fold the ends up, curl them around on each side once or twice, and then push them down into the wreath so the edges aren't poking up. And a lot of times I'll just put a little daub of glue and some moss over it, just so it looks a little cleaner. Okay, so just like that, we've got a hanger. And now it'll help keep my center point instead of going all crazy. All right. So the bow. Because this is a simple farmhouse look, we are going to do a simple bow. So find out where your bow is going to go and find a proper length. I like to have varying lengths of tails, but the one I start off with is usually comes down to at least the bottom of the grapevine. And that's where I'm going to make my first pinch. Okay. And I'm going to make, let's see, 16-inch loop. And I'm going to twist. Another 16-inch loop. Twist. You know what? I think I needed to do 14 first. I'm ahead of myself. Rewind. Crack your tubing. I'll be okay. Do 13 inches. Pinch. twist, do another 13 inches, bring it to the back, cinch it in, twist. Then we're going to do 15, 16 inches. All of my measurements can go up or down an inch or two, depending on the project you're working on. So we're going to do 15, 13 and 15. As you see, I kind of form my bow as I go. All right. I try to make sure my two bottom loops. Do I want to do more? You know what? I think I'm going to do more. Let's do more. Let's do one more. Let's do 16 inches. Just do a big bow. Big bow. All right. Let's see how that looks. I think I'm going to go back to my original idea. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I do this when I see what I've done. I think it might be a good idea at the time. So take out those. Oh, crap. I just took from the top. Doggone it. Yes. See, I don't always get it perfect either, y'all. And I apologize. Okay, go back to our first tail. It stays the same, but we're going to do things a little different. So I'm going to go back to the simple bow. I thought we might do a big multi-loop bow, but it just doesn't look right up there because this is simple. It needs to stay simple, and I second guessed myself. So we're going to go back to the simple. We're going to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We're going to do 2 loops on the bottom and 1 loop on the top. So the top needs to be the 13. And then we're going to do 15 behind it, just so it's a little longer. Okay. Yeah. So you can stop here with just this and go there, but we're going to do 2 more loops. I'm not even going to measure them. I'm just going to measure them by this. So much easier. I'll have to teach you guys some bows when I'll do them slower and an overhead view so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to go there and cut a long tail. Just wad them in your hand here. We're not getting pretty with it. Just cut a longer tail than you cut the first time so we have room for playing with the length. All right, take a pipe cleaner and run around the center. You do not have to be super particular with this. This is kind of a shabby bow. Just give it a couple of twists. Then you're going to take another piece of your ribbon and cut it off about that long enough that you can tie into a knot. I cut off the wired edges. So go back to your bow. You've got your two tails hanging down. Split your bow in half. So where you ran the pipe cleaner down the center, that's where you're going to put this piece of fabric. Okay. Run it down the center. And then tie it in a knot on the back. Tie it tight. And you can cut off the excess, so you can leave it, it doesn't matter. All right. That gives you just a shabby farmhouse bow. Super easy. And I just fluff it. I leave the two longer loops on the back and the shorter one, I kind of split the two, just like this. Woo! So then I take the pipe cleaner and I'm going to run it through the grapevine and tack it on. Sometimes I think just using zip ties is way easier. They're a little more stiff, so they, I think I needed to move this hanger over a bit. There we go. Fantastic. We'll fix it in a minute. All right. Where's my, oh, there it is. So I run my fingers along the edges of the wire, starting down at the base. It helps fluff. And if you have pieces of greenery that are getting in your way, just push them back. Just like that. Woo. Now we're not going to dovetail these. We're going to just roll them, roll and curl. And I do a nice little fold on the end, like a double fold. Sometimes I might put a little bit of hot glue in the middle to kind of tack it down. It helps keep the ribbon ends from fraying, especially on this type of linen. Just like that. How adorable. Simple but adorable. All right. For the sign, I'm going to use some floral wire. I'm using 26 gauge because that's what I've got on hand. But if you've got a different gauge, use what you've got. If you've got just pipe cleaners, use pipe cleaners. Then I'll run it through the holes in the cable timeout. Give it a twist. Whoops. I'm going to lay it down. Y'all know what I'm doing. Okay. I need to get my chair back over here. Sometimes I have to sit down to see at that level. Okay. So we want, this is going to have to be moved over, I think. Yeah. All right. So now that my bow's on, I think I left a little too much space. So we're going to take this one out and move it over. So we'll just do that zip tie and reposition it over here a little bit. Way better. Way better. If you were adding more berries and baubles and stuff, you wouldn't have had to do that. But there was a little bit of a gap there, and I didn't want to have to add more stuff. We've put enough in here. This is supposed to be simple. Okay, so we're going to evenly space this where the same amount hanging off the top and bottom. Okay, and you can move these pieces out of the way. So typically I attach the top piece first. That helps hold it on. Makes the bottom way easier. Where'd it go? Okay, so watch this. I can grab it and just push it through. All right, so make sure it's set in the right way and tie it down super tight because you don't want it to slide. Okay. And then you'll come to the other side and we'll attach it here at the bottom. Now, sometimes you may have to attach it and reattach it a couple of times. All right, let's see how that looks. I have to look at it from a distance, you guys. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, so now you'll just go back, kind of form things like they need to, like you wanted to be able to see the Mary, but it's okay if you have some greens that kind of encroach upon the sign. I like that look. It looks more natural. So that's my personal preference. All right. I think I'm gonna pull that all the way off and make sure that white piece comes down to the middle of the bow a little bit. Like that. And remember when I said at the end, we're probably going to have to go in and move the cotton pieces around so they're evenly dispersed. And that's what I'm doing now. Kind of like stair steps. So out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in. And that should make it look pretty even. Now, as with any project, I always grab one extra piece, or I try to, of everything that I'm using when I'm using new supplies. Now, if I'm using leftovers from the bin, I can't do that. But if I've, bought new supplies for a project, I always buy one extra. So at the end, if I see pieces, that need to, or places that need to be filled, I can take pieces from one last piece and put little pieces of this into the gaps that need filling. But I like this look. I don't think it needs another piece for this design. Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Janet. I had this little, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, bird nest that kind of matched the theme that I thought about cutting off and sticking in here and maybe putting a cardinal in there. But I didn't have the cardinal here with me. So I didn't want to put that aspect into the design. So we went with simple farmhouse. But it was an idea that had crossed my mind. And before I put this in my shop, I might go ahead and add this right here. So basically, if you cut this part off, it'll sit down in there. Of course, I'll form these, and then we'll have a cardinal sitting there maybe. I don't know, but that was a thought. But you can use your imagination. This is just a good basis to start with. If you want to add more, totally add more. If you wanted to make this big and over the top, carry more greenery down around the bottom in the same fashion we did, and then make another bow right here, a big bow with big, long, flowy tails, and then boom, you have doubled the size of your piece. Hello, Pat from Maryland. Hi, Joanne. Thank you for loving this. I don't know why I've been on a farmhouse kick lately, but I really love this. I really thought that the big mini loop bow was going to be better, but no, I'm really happy with the simpler bow. And you saw me. I wasn't real particular with it. It's a shabby bow. It's a farmhouse bow. But what do you guys think? Hearts? Thumbs up? So this is a design that we used 5 picks, a little bit of ribbon, a sign, and a grapevine base. If you weren't teaching this or taking your time like I was, you could whip these out pretty quick and get your shop stock. Change out your sign, ribbon. The greenery can stay the same, but if you change out ribbon and a sign, you get a whole new look. And like I said, if you wanted to make it a big showstopper, get 2 more picks, 2 more. So instead of 5, you would use 7. Come back under here, put another one, and then another one here. And then you'll make a second bow down here with long flowy tails. And that's how you double the size of your piece. Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to be sharing. I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to have my own private group. I don't anymore. But when I taught there, I only taught deco mesh. I didn't teach grapevines. So my first grapevine taught was last week with you guys. And of course, my second is now. So I'm enjoying having, the opportunity to teach grapevines to you guys. All right. if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll come back later on and answer them for you, or you can message me, either one. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next week. Have a good one.